Another question, Dr. Craig, I listened to your excellent podcast series, Defenders, and part 6 of the existence of God. Your second point in defense of the first premise of the Kalam is, if something could come into being from nothing, then it is inexplicable why anything and everything doesn't come into being from nothing. Does this commit the fallacy of division? What is true of the whole, in this case the universe, is not necessarily true of the parts. For example, bicycles, Beethoven, and root beer. If this does not commit the fallacy of division, can you please explain why? Now, I'm wondering, Bill, if the fallacy of division is the same as the composition fallacy.
He seems to think that the argument is saying that if a whole can't have a certain property, then its part can't have a property. And that's obviously wrong-headed. But the argument that I gave doesn't fit that mold at all. I must say I'm just utterly bewildered why he would think that that's the reasoning here. The reasoning is that if anything can come out of non-being, then just everything could come out of non-being. There isn't any reason why just universes could pop into existence uncaused out of non-being, because you're saying there are no causal conditions whatsoever. Nothingness has no properties. There's nothing about nothingness that would make it discriminatory so that only universes could pop into being out of nothingness. So if anything could, if a universe could, root beer and Beethoven could, because nothingness has no properties or constraints.
But we don't observe that. We don't observe elephants popping into the existence of the room.
Right, which gives us good grounds for thinking that things can't come into being out of nothing. The argument is that if something could come into being out of nothing, then just anything and everything could come into being out of nothing, because nothingness isn't discriminatory with regard to what pops into being from it. It's to say that things happen or come into existence with no causal conditions or constraints whatsoever. So it could be anything. It could be Beethoven, it could be a gasoline station, it could be a raging tiger. But that's absurd. Obviously, that doesn't happen. And I think that gives us good grounds for thinking that it's metaphysically impossible for things to come into being uncaused from nothing.
All right, good stuff. Thank you, Dr. Craig. Hey, be sure you check out the question of the week on our website, reasonablefaith.org. It's always a good question, and you can search through the archives of the question of the week as well. It's all at reasonablefaith.org. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time on Reasonable Faith. Dr. William Lane Craig.